What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Headspace podcast. My name is Holden Stephan Roy, and joining me for a very special guest on this one
is your lady friend Bonnie.
And yo, today we are going to be talking about a brand new project. Today, what date is it, your lady friend Bonnie?
The date?
Yeah, it's April 30th is the date.
April 30th, yeah.
And what date did this album come out on? April 30th. And today we're going to be talking about Skribbal's new project, Black Eyed Children.
Scribby.
And just the Headspace podcast, the show we break down the new hip-hop projects track by track, give thoughts and opinions on every single song. That's how we go through it. We were actually given the project ahead of time on some special privileges shit. So I had it like a week ago, which is real lovely. I listened to it at the last minute, Skribbal. I'm just being real with you. I listened to it before today, but I didn't do like a whole lot of listening before today. Today was like the day I delved in and gave it the real listens.
Yeah.
But we do like to start this show off kind of contextualizing our familiarity with the artist in order to manage y'all's expectations. I'll make sure that you understand our various subjective biases and whatnot. So your lady friend Bonnie, why don't you tell us about your expectations coming into a Skribbal album and what your thoughts were ahead of time? What you think about Skribbal in general?
I think that he puts like his all, and like he gives like a lot of energy in like his music, and like I don't know. I know that I like enjoy his voice. So I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, but like besides that, I don't have like too much expectations. I know that he likes like heavy metal and like music that I don't usually go for, but and he, you know, by special request, by the way, he did ask me to be on this review.
He did.
So that's why I'm here, because he knows that I think he's just trying to like make me like more his type of music. So yeah, that's it. Looking forward to it.
All right, so Scribby's the homeboy. I call him Skribby because of Bonnie. That's how comfortable I am doing this live on the internet. Everything I say, I know he will say back to me, however he may feel, because he can hit me up in the DMs like that. With that being said, I have fucking zero caring of all that, and I'll still be real with y'all, because even, and this did not happen, but even if someone paid me, I would still just be real with y'all, because I care more about my integrity than my friendships in that regard on this camera. So, but to act like Skribbal's not the homeboy, hasn't been a patron of the channel, and I don't say his name in all the videos, would be an absolute negligent thing to mention at the beginning of the review. But on the real, this has nothing to do with a Patreon or anything. This is because the homeboy made big man moves and like linked up with Sony for some fucking big boy distro deal type shits, and like, yo, if the homeboy is gonna be linking up with peoples and doing all this shit independent, like running it, all that good stuff, then like I'm gonna do what I can to support the homeboy. So this is absolutely because Skribbal's the homeboy. That's why I don't even care what else. I don't even know what else came out today. This is the album that we had to focus on. It's Skribbal shit. You know what I'm saying? With that being said, yeah, I have reviewed a couple of Skribbal's projects before, so if y'all fuck with this one, you can see the Skinwalker review, his 8-track fucking Quarantine EP, the one he did with Big Left over here, the Napalm something. So yo, I'm a fan of Skribbal in general. I'll fuss with him. And I'm gonna just, I'm gonna be super biased. If you're the homeboy, I'm gonna fucking review your shit twice as fast as if you're not the homeboy, is I guess what I'm saying.
A little bit.
But on that note, I love the cover. I don't have more to say about like Skribby. I just fucks with him. So with that, I think he has great flow. Like he works with the homeboy Chemo's working with him. Like he's just like connected to life, and it's so cool to see him winning. I guess that's all my preface coming into it. I love that cover art. The album's called Black Eyed Children. I should probably close my Outlook because that's bad. That shit's popping up. Whoops, let me do that real quick. So basically it's called Black Eyed Children. What do you think about the title and the cover?
I think that they like work for like this album, definitely. It's, you know, I like the album cover because it looks like a painting. Like it looks like somebody made this, like it's art. And you know, just like a house, it's kind of creepy. There's like a storm. There's like the lightning and the trees and everything, so it's dark and kind of like whatever, and like there are these 4 kids who maybe like they're ghosts or zombies or like, you know, they're sort of like creepy kids. Like they're kind of just like staring out at us, well, except for like one who I think is like reading. And I noticed like their shirts were sort of like also, or like their clothing like all had kind of like weird creepy happy kind of like kids stuff, but like still kind of creepy at the same time. And yeah, I like it. And I think, you know, black eyed children, I feel like I'm going to end up saying black eyed peas at some point. But yeah, I think it's cool.
All right.
Very cool.
So basically, Skribbal sent me something along the lines of some message. I was trying to see if I could find it and just read it to y'all, but I got kind of I couldn't find it. Skribbal was all like, he took like an actual childhood picture of him and his siblings and sent it off to the designer and gave it like this twisted method crack house feel and gave it back. So that's a little backstory. I might have misquoted that, whatevs. But I love the design of it. I like how the kids have the
That's like
black
a whole like
eyes.
different like,
Yeah,
like, it gives me like a different feel now that like I'm looking at it like as if like, you know,
like it's
like
actually
what, like this kid is actually Skribbal.
and like you get the sense that like looking back into his past is very reminiscent of like the Marshall Mathers LP1 project cover to me, but like cartoony and more scribbly. So I really like it, but I actually really like the cover. I love the artwork. I love the design, the colors. It's like one of those rare album covers where honestly, like the lack of branding also adds to it, just making it a pretty and beautiful picture to look at. But
Yeah, that's true.
the kids have
Like
black
no like
eyes.
title or anything written on it.
So yeah, like the kids have black eyes, so it does the job of conveying it's black-eyed children. But honestly, I just enjoy staring at it. It evokes this sense of calming destruction. Like it's cool. It's like the calm before a storm. So I really enjoy it. I don't know. I don't normally get emotional responses from album covers. If you have noticed watching my shit over the years, I don't give a fuck normally. But this one's real nice. Whoever the artist is deserves a whole lot of kudos for doing what they did with this situation. Yeah, so with that, Black Eyed Children's a cool title. It makes me think of a horror movie. It makes me think of some like haunted shit's possessed darkness. Like, but it also kind of makes me feel like maybe it's just the bias of knowing Skribbal for like the whole time he made this project and was bragging to me about shit. But like, I don't know. It just makes me feel like we're looking into what makes Skribbal's darkness come to life. Like, you know, he's the black-eyed children. So, like, what is it that makes him and his own, the collected, the peoples that are his fans? What is it that is the black-eyed children? You know. So, I really like that. Yeah, that's cool. The Dungeon Podcast says Skribbal's fire. Big respect. Skribbal is fire, though. Yeah. Anyway, I don't have more to say about the album cover, the title, or anything. So I think it's about time for us to get ready to listen to the first track, which is called The Retribution featuring 6 Feet Under. Thanks for the lyrics, Skribbal. Last time I did a review, I criticized the lack of lyrics, and then he put them on Genius just for me, because we cool like that. All right, Bonnie, how do you feel about the introduction to this project, The Retribution?
Well, I definitely agree with Ismail's comment here. He said cinematic intro, and I think that that's very true. I like the beginning with like the rain sounds and like the sort of like, because like it's sort of bringing to life the cover picture for me. Like it's, you know, these kids kind of playing and like there's like the rain and, you know, it's kind of like that. And then there's like sort of like weird, like I wasn't sure if it was like circus music or like just like kids music, like from like old timey days. But it sounds creepy either way. And like just based off of like the intro, it sort of is similar to like other sort of like horrorcore type albums that we've listened to before. So I like that kind of vibe. It kind of like sets you up for like what you're about to get, you know, it's sort of like hard and creepy all at the same time. And then it ends with, again, sort of like creepy recording of like a kid's song. And it was like the big bad wolf. But at the same time, like Skribbal's there and he's kind of like responding to, not responding to, like he's just kind of talking about who like the, you know, the black-eyed children are and why he is the way that he is. So it's a kind of a lot kind of compacted into like what, a minute 46. So yeah, I liked it. It was good intro. I gave it a 4.4 on 5.
Yeah, I think it's super solid. It definitely. I feel like this kind of an album opener sets the tone that I feel like you're supposed to pay more attention. I feel like that's something that's supposed to get communicated. Like why are you putting this effort into this intro? Now maybe the rest of the project doesn't deliver, does deliver in general, but like it tells me that I should be more focused on like a central theme off the jump. Um, I like the little horror movie clip at the beginning. It kind of sets this context of the black-eyed children, like so that there's a frame of reference from like reality almost that brings it in. So it's also like paying homage to probably where he literally got the title from. I don't know what it is, to be honest. It's fine. And then he starts rapping, and it's kind of violent. And I thought to myself, why do a lot of my friends write these violent rhymes? And I'm so not violent, but blood on the knife, cut you through the neck, and it's pretty like run for your life, mom, coming for you next. Now that ma, I think it like honestly may actually like be parental, not just like a person, because you know it kind of describes this really harsh environment, like shadows on the wall, death on my breath, hate in my heart, ripped apart from the meth,
Yeah.
tossed into the depths and darkness. This to me alludes to a background of drug abuse and bad situations that caused him to be like kind of fucked up. So maybe it's not literally his mother, maybe it's just whoever it is, but it could be. I thought that was nifty. Pulled my father's shotgun out to cause it, etc. And he's gonna flip it on him, and then kind of gets more literal. Like, you threw us away, you weren't there, you abandoned us, and forced us to embrace this like darkness of the environment and the world around us. So that's what we are, why we are the black-eyed children, you know. So yeah, when we come through with this vengeance, just remember it's your fault and you brought it upon us. And I'm like, yo, it's pretty solid. The beats, he flows over it just seamlessly with the delivery. He's really in the pocket. I think that's one of the things that's always been like super cool about Skribbal is like, regardless of the song I heard him on, he understands how to like be like snug perfectly in the pocket of the track. And I feel like he just does that excellently here. It's not superfluous. There's nothing tricky. You're almost like supposed to focus on it. Like, it's simple flows to make sure that you're focusing on the words so that you get the sense of what's going on. But it's also not like 100% obvious. You do kind of have to stop and pay attention for a second. So if you're casually listening, you're probably maybe not going to catch the nuances of like that this is the context to the album, that he comes from a bad environment. He drops the little meth line, but are you really going to think about that? You know, like, so I like how he did it. He tells you without telling you in full. And then it goes into that creepy, like, clown kid shit at the end, which I thought was cool. It fit it well. It kind of just shows this is like this. It makes you picture like twisted circus clown shits in horror movies and whatnot. So it does its job. I'm going to give it a 4.5 on 5. It's a very solid start to this album.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's move on to the next one, Born All Over. All right, your lady friend Bonnie, why don't you walk us through your thoughts on this track?
So I really like the old school like sounding intro that this one has. It kind of has like that Motowny kind of like old school singing. Like, I don't know who it was or if it was a sample of some sort, but it fit well. And then it's sort of, you know, we've got Skribbal, he does his verse, and then Big Left, and he does the second verse. And for Scribbal's verse, you know, it is, you know, him talking about kind of, you know, the things that he saw, the experiences he went through as a child, kind of how he was kind of left to the side and used writing as his outlet, even as a child, and then became a child of the state. So he was in foster care, and, you know, kind of talks about that, and that his, you know, that there was some drugs happening, you know, from his parents, and just like a lot of not great things, unfortunately. And then so just kind of like he's explaining like, this is why I am how I am, and like hip hop gets me through the day, and like this is part, you know, this is the good that comes out of the bad. And sort of like, you know, I think it's Big Left again. So he's kind of talking about, you know, similar situations, how he maybe didn't have the best childhood and how there was a lot of issues and had his brother passed away, and that there was a lot of shit happening for him as well. So all Skribbal has basically says in like the chorus is that he has music and a dream, and that hip hop gets him through the day. And I think that that's kind of great, like that he he uses like the pain and like the suffering from like his like past to kind of like focus on what's going to get him ahead. So I think that's great. And I really like the mixing on this one. I think that is it. Like I said, it definitely has like that great, I don't know, I really like it. Really good feeling. So I give it a 4.5 on 5. What do you think?
I think this one is a really cool start because you get the intro, which isn't necessarily a song. So, I mean, it's a song, but like it's more of an intro. And then you get into this boppy, like you could just picture the cars bouncing to this as you're kind of cruising through it. And Skribbal's from LA, so I imagine in his environment there are more bouncing cars than there are in Montreal, which is always a thing I've been jealous of. But even with that, I roll windows down. I always keep my eyes on that motherfucking crown. And, it's like a kind of like a context of where he's at now. But then, if I got to fight, I'm going to put you in the ground. Right away, I love that if I got to fight. It's that defensive shit. It's that, like, I'm not necessarily looking for it, but fight. I come from this thing. And then he brings you back to his environment, how he was kind of on his own at 9 years old. He's forced into foster care. And then he had to kind of see a bunch of shit. But I also liked how he points out, like, he never snitched or anything. He kept his mouth shut. He just kind of learned to operate and maneuver in the environment and just kind of be the best Skribbal he could be. And with that, uses music and whatnot to get through the situation. And I really like it. I liked it a lot. I think the hook is really strong. It gets kind of stuck in your head, but it's also one of those hooks that like a lot of people can relate to regardless of your environment. Like all I had was music and a dream. Like that's like half. Yep. That's half the teenagers on the planet. Gets me through the day because the pain don't stop. It's still half the teenagers on the planet, regardless to how legitimate everyone may find their experiences. And hip hop gets me through the day. Maybe not half the teenagers, but a whole bunch of people relate to that sentiment, right? And I love it, and it's so universal. Then Big Left is really cool because I like how he takes his verse in a different direction. Big Left is one half of Napalm Drop, which is the group that Skribbal and Big Left are part of. So this is kind of like a little Napalm Drop thing, and I like also that Skribbal chooses to kind of showcase a song that looks at the past while like simultaneously bringing the present into it, like his partner and his group, right there at the beginning of it. So I thought that was super cool because it's called Born All Over, right? So if you think about it, like from that point of view, being born over with your new guy doing your new shit while still exploring how you got there, that's a pretty dope ass like concept. And then Big Left, just I really thought like the focus on grind and hustle and the parenting impact of it, almost like while Skribbal was the orphan kid kind of thing, Big Left is like the parent that neglected his kids because of the situation. Like my kids caught it back because their dad was skilled, time spent in the lab instead of paying the bills. Like just that notion that he's out there doing all the things that he's doing and he's kind of lived that life and like owning it. And I like how he just kind of ends it. I laughed in the face of death until I faced death. Drank most of my dinner and Christmas ain't came yet. Bronx motherfucker wrote the Bible on this rap shit. Past tense, postmortem, brothers in a casket. And it's just so heavy, right? Like, he almost died. Death is a real thing. Yep. Even holidays and shit, like, don't really exist in his world. He's from the Bronx, which is, as we've come to see, is a pretty serious place, I liked it a lot. And then the bridge part's really cool, too. I like how he kind of like doubles down on the name of the album, uses it really to kind of promote the context. He is the black-eyed child, this vile guy when he spits the mic. So it's almost like this is the expression of all of it put into this character he's created for himself. And then I love the fucking node to Naughty by Nature with the bigger than hip hop thing with the hip hop. And I was like, that's fucking blessed. That was really, really cool too. Then the sampling and the scratches in it's great. The beat's really fucking well put together to just kind of give you that vibe. I can't say that like this is a 5 on 5 because like it's not like something that stands out as like the most exceptional thing I ever heard in like in a distinction kind of way. But within the realms of being amazing for exactly what it is, it's like if I'm ever in the mood for exactly this kind of song, it fits it exact perfect.
Yep.
And it's so scribbled too in regards to it fits the theme and everything. Just sonically, it just feels like a classic song. It feels like Skribbal is writing a classic hip hop song,
Yep.
and I really like the delivery on it, and it really gets accomplished. It doesn't feel like, but it doesn't feel like super dated either. But it also kind of feels dated all at the same time. I don't know how to describe it. Like sometimes I listen and I'm like, this feels super old, and then sometimes it doesn't. I don't know if that really makes sense, but I haven't like sat on the album long enough to like fully, decide what I feel on that particular point. But I thought it should be worth noted. I give it another 4.5 on 5 though, because it's extremely well made. It is like fucking great. Anyway, I hope y'all can find my way. All right, Bonnie, how do you feel about Find My Way?
Well, I mean, he's just trying to find his way, really. He's just talking some real shit, trying to find his way. He does sound like a little bit like calmer and like sort of like reflective, but like not really reflective, but just more like focused, I guess. So he's just kind of like figuring out life and kind of is conquering it, even though there's like scary parts and he's scared and he's praying to God, but he doesn't know if he's really going to answer. And he's kind of like, well, if I can't be everything, then I'm going to be nothing. And just sort of like that, like drive that he has. So that's really what it is, that he's kind of finding his own way. And that there was a few speed bumps and things that he had to deal with, and things that he saw, and people he's encountered that were not doing good things, that tried to like pull him away or distract him from his goals. And there were years of kind of like him kind of going through some issues, but he's focused and he's gonna keep on speaking his truth. And it does feel like very like personal and kind of like I said, he is speaking his own truth on this one. It's really just like a good, honest, like pensive song, but like still sounds kind of like hard because of like Scribby's like voice and energy. And I really enjoyed the beat. It was like kind of jazzy and kind of, I don't know, it just sounded like gentle and nice. Like it wasn't like like a horrorcore necessarily type like sound. It was just kind of like a nice, gentle kind of sound with like harder things spoken about on top of it. So I thought that was cool. So I gave it a 4.5. What'd you give it? Or tell me about it.
Well, like, I don't know. Like, I never really came into this album expecting horrorcore, so I just kind of vibe to it, right? Like,
that's fair. I think just because of like the intro and like the album cover and like
see,
that kind of thing.
More like a drama, like one of those
like a dark drama,
like E-Time documentaries where they look through the past of a person, and it just so happens this is the Black-Eyed Children's story, right? That was more, I guess, from my imagination with it. Went with it. The beat's real nice. This one definitely sounds old. This does not sound new, but it sounds cool. It makes me feel like we're in like 1997's Underground or something, which I like. I like it a lot. The chorus is nice, but it's actually got some interesting little nuggets where what I think is happening is in the first 2 tracks we get like the context for the story, bad upbringing, so like the beginning is like the existence, the birth of the Black-Eyed Children, born all over. Is almost like 2 sides of how it could come to be. Then Find My Way, I feel like we cut back to like a present day Skribbal who's sitting there having like a panic attack or just kind of laying it all out in the rhymes, trying to make sense of the madness and whatnot. So, try to find my way. Repeating it 3 times is interesting. In Hebrew, that's a way of signifying like the ultimate level of emphasis. They don't use adjectives as much as I understand it. It's the repetition. So I really appreciate that. It sounds dope, but it also sounds really different. So we're at the 3rd track, and we're on the 3rd set of what Skribbal's toolkit brings to the table sonically as far as rhythms and flow goes, and that's pretty dope. Yep. I like the I'm terrified of change, getting lost in the gray. I think that's a cool line because I don't know if I'm right, but there could be a double entendre there where it's getting lost in the gray, like the smog, the confusion, whatever. But also gray fucking hairs and oldness, right? Like change comes with age as you get older and have to embrace the grays. So I thought that was pretty nifty. I could be wrong.
I didn't do that. Yeah.
Maybe it's just because I'm terrified of the grays. But I also like how, at the end of it, never doubt that kid, because that kid went through all that shit we just heard. If life's a bitch, I'll smack the bitch. And he just kind of flips that like line into an empowering moment. And that's again, like, it takes this troubledness. So you might be going through some shit in your mind, but at the end of the day, the resolution is strength. And then I feel like we get more storytelling Skribbal as he gets into that calm, pensive voice that you described. But I really like just the tone of it all. Like, I sharpen my sword, get my mom ready. I've been here before, but it's way more deadly. And that just feels like those cycles of ups and downs that happen. And when you're going through the downs, every time it just feels like it's worse or it's more intense or there's something going on. But then he just falls and he prays and he just wants to be saved from himself because it's so hard to like live. And it's like, it's really bold, right? Like, just to admit all of the trauma that comes through it. And then he kind of goes into this reflective things of all of the pain that he's going through in the first verse, and because of what he's done, because he's so angsty. But I feel like in the second verse we really get into the crux of it, where it's like this junkie universe that he wanted to be cool and part of the bikers, and then he tried to like emulate this lifestyle, but it didn't work. And now that he's bounced back from that, it's like he's just trying to like make it through. So then it just kind of like, with that context, the whole song kind of layers over as like an addict just struggling in a moment of weakness, trying not to give into it. I don't think it really accomplishes its goal through the lack of passion, through the more like, because when you're in those moments, it's more like lethargic, and like that's a side of it, right? The emptiness, the unwillingness to like feel because it's too complex. Like I love it. Like, almost like his vocal tone doesn't deliver the complexity of the emotions he's feeling. Like, he can only really use these words because he can't like fully express it. That's why it's so calm and subdued or something. And I thought that was pretty artistic. This one's pretty good. This is definitely one of those ones where like I heard it right away and I was like, ooh, this is nice. This one, like, it flexes in a very personal way. But honestly, the first time I heard it, the whole album, I'm like, I don't even feel like I got to know Skribbal at all. And then I listened the second time and I'm like, oh, maybe this is a lot about Skribbal, this whole album. Whoops, I'm glad I didn't go into it thinking that. And now as we're like really looking at it, it's like, yeah, this is like his story in a sense. And what a big admission, like, in this world where like so many people are just so quick to like shame people, Skribbal's like, let me just tell you what my pain is like. Just let me tell you what that's like and how it came to be. And I really like that approach. It's a lot less judgy than a lot of other people's approaches in life. It's just more, this is who I am. And I think it's good. It's a simple song, but it really lands. And I give it a 4.75 on 5. It's just fucking really cool beat, too. The beat's a huge part of why I like this song. It's like I was happy to be in 1997. It could be a different year of hip-hop. It is what it is. Anyway, next one's called Bring the Pain. So, Bonnie, what do you think about Bring the Pain?
It's it definitely has like a funky vibe, like in like the beat. Like, I really like the beat. I like the samples and I really like the mixing on this one. This one just felt really like easy to listen to. Like, there were like a few times, like even like this time listening to it again, like I feel like I'm not fully paying attention to it just because like it's just like it just kind of floats through. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that makes sense. But Skribbal is sort of like a bit like calmer, but he's also still good and he's still bringing the pain. And he is still talking about some of like the shit that he's gone through and, why he's bringing the pain and what brings him the pain and, kind of like what he's hoping that this, that his music will provide to the world and like sort of like his legacy and like he's going to, do this forever. And this one kind of also had a more like MF Doom sort of vibe to it. I mean, that's kind of what I took away from it. I really like this one. I thought it was really nice. I give it a 4.5 on 5 again.
I like this one a lot because I feel like he took the concept of Bring the Pain and like took it as back to his pain. And it's like bringing the pain within himself. And we're going to delve a little bit deeper into him and his struggles with it. And I feel like there's just this continuity to it. Like, this song just fits perfectly after the last one. So Find My Way brought through some of the struggles of his addictions and whatever else that creates that anxieties and whatever we just looked at. And we follow it through with, the cool like scratching to bring the pain. And then like, in a time of war, I seek peace. I am driven by the wisdom of defeat, been through it all. Seen it, so I spit it over beats. This my mental therapy kid. This how I release. So now we get the point where after we get that broken situation, it's like he brings it to the music. So he takes his pain that he feels and he brings that to these lyrics, and thus he brings the pain in a very different way than I think was intended in the first place. It's not necessarily like I'm gonna beat the shit out of you or something. It's you're gonna feel when you hear my pain. I really like it a lot. I don't know. I feel like in a lot of cases it's very straightforward. It's very like self-reflected. Like from the outside looking in, tell me how do you perceive who I seem to be. I don't let it lead to negative perception of myself. I sought the leech. You know, like you have your perceptions. You think about me. I'm gonna go ahead and not let that affect me negatively. I'm learning how to go and not let these leeches in, because if I do, it's gonna fucking take control of me. Your criticisms can't hurt me, you know, these different things. He's gaining the mental fortitude to get through it. And then you get the cool scratching and whatever on this one, and it's such like a throwback kind of sound, but it sounds so blessed still to listen to today. I feel like the next verse is like, I don't have any other choices in life. I can't really do anything else. I just know how to rap. It's not like I like what happened, but given that's what it is, I'm gonna go ahead and take the circumstances, run it to the fullest, and you know, be the best person I can be. And when you hear the music, when you hear it, you're gonna know I'm the fucking best. You're gonna know I'm a great artist, and it's undeniable. And he's gonna bring the pain unashamed, and I really like that, because so far on this project he's done that in a really vulnerable way, and it's really like cool to listen to. Anyhow, I give this one a 4.5. Like, it's an extremely well constructed song. Like, honestly, there's a really big consistency to his music. I mean, the mixing mastering's on point, the beats on point, his flow's on point. It sounds nothing like the other tracks we heard before. It fits the continuity of the album. The content, maybe it's a little repetitive, but not in a way that's annoying, in a way that drives the story forward. So overall, that's what I feel about this one, and we can move on to the next track, Vampire Tactics. Hey, what do you think about Vampire Tactics?
So this one is he's thinking about kind of like what moves he could have made, I think, in like the past, and like things he could have done to be more like rich and famous. But he's not kind of about that life. He's going to just like keep on doing what he does. And like he's like he also too, I think, as much as I think he also sees himself as successful, he still kind of talks about himself as kind of being like dirty and like people like kind of gross, and people aren't going to want him, and like kind of, so he kind of plays down himself while still like shooting for the stars. So I think that that's kind of like interesting as well. It definitely shows like, you know, self-esteem and like all of that. I'm not like the biggest fan of the chorus with Marco's Curiel.
All right, Scott Van Helt does the chorus. Marcus Curiel is, if I'm not, let's just Google it. Let's just make sure I'm right.
I assumed it was Marcus Curiel. I don't know if there's anybody else.
Because there's POD. I don't know if you've ever heard of the band POD.
It's a Christian.
He's the guitarist. Because Skribbal did the genius and says the hook is Scott Von headed to. I don't know who that is.
So, well, I don't like it. It's not my vibe. But like, I know that Skribbal likes it, so like that's fine. You know, whatever. It's, you know, tastes and all that. But I do like the sound of like the bells or like the xylophone or whatever that's like at the end, like on like the beat. Like I thought that was kind of cool. And again, same like as I mean, same sort of story. Like this is obviously the theme of like the album, where, you know, it is kind of, you know, kind of talking about like, I am not the one, the son, the father, I am sickness. Like he's kind of like, he's not the kid. He's not a, you know, he's like, I think that there was issues there. He's not like his father. And I think that there's, you know, maybe he's kind of like doubting like being like a good father and things like that. So, and he does kind of feel like he's rich in like his music and everything else, but like he doesn't, like nobody else cares about anything else. I don't know, just kind of my thoughts on it. So yeah, it wasn't my favorite vibe, but I still appreciated it and it was still decent. So I gave it a 4.25 on 5.
So off the jump, I have to say I really like this one, Marcos Curiel is the POD dude that I believe does guitars on it. I think he was telling me. I could be wrong. Scott does the singiness. The beat's lit. I really like it a lot. It has that like new metal-esque feel to it, which I appreciate. I hear vampire tactics from a rapper. My first thought is going to be music industry. It might not be, but I mean, you got shit like a bunch of schemers trying to read the cards, so a bunch of data analysts looking at trends. Everything's weak, a bunch of sheep in charge, a bunch of people not willing to take risks, chasing dollar signs for stock market, blah 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 blies, turning no talent monsters into stars. The shitty people, you know. I sit back and wonder if I did that, would I be rich as fuck on the hills driving that Benz, cash stack to the sky. Black Cadillac, roll it, roll it, roll it, roll. Anyway, yeah, that's exactly what he did. The
line.
He absolutely said rolling like that. I heard you, Scribby. I knew it. Yo, me and Skribbal talk about Limp Bizkit a bunch, and it is what it is. But like, I really like it. It's like I sit there and I wonder the same shit. It's like it's not that hard to write pop music if you understand music. To like take your content and to just cater it and to just like sell out. Yo, hire a bunch of models, do a lot of the things, and then you get all these rewards, or perpetuate certain lifestyles that you might not actually live, do certain clout chasey things. All of this is viable and it can get you a lot of money, you know? But like it creates this almost like rock star fantasy lifestyle with the cocaine flowing and Playboy bunnies come around the money, but then they stay for the drugs. I love that line too, because that's probably what actually happens is people just get addicted to the drugs after they see the fanciness. And I don't know, man. But it feels like he goes through all this, and then you get like the industry folk being who they are. They're just a bunch of fucking vampires, and then when it's over, boom, you're done. And then you as an artist, I feel like everyone has to make that choice once you realize that's kind of what the industry is, and it really like that's what the industry is, right? It's been like that since time. You go back in time, there was no glorified better version. This is we are living through the better version of the music industry, everyone. Anyway, Scott Von Heads, I won't sell my soul because I give it to you for free. You won't get songs from me with my blood because I bleed this shit with my love. I feel like given the last 4 songs, we've set up the context for how this is the music that is the therapy of the pain and the emotion that is Skribbal. But then when you get to the point where in your life you're a good rapper, you figured it all out, you're doing your thing, then you try to move up in the world and you realize it's all vampire tactics. So that's the next part of the story that we get to here, which I really like. And I feel like, yeah, like you said, the whole second thing is this like more like moral quandary. Like I have the ethics and the morality and I do all the right things, but I'm in this world that's corrosive and greedy and deceptive and dark and all this. And at the end of the day, it's like, how do you navigate through it? Because at a certain point, you end up just kind of doing things for money because it's what happens regardless to where you're at. So it's like this back and forth struggle of, do I want to be broke forever because I can't make my art if I'm broke? And it's a lot of like bleeding yourself out. And then if you like sell your soul to do it, then it's not good either for all the other reasons. Like it's like it just sometimes it's sincere. Like I have a lot of these chats with the homeboys in the DMs that will, you know, like they don't need to be like who's and what's, but like where it's this conversation, we have it all the time because that's what it feels like. Like how are we gonna do it and not like sell our fucking souls? Because if we do that, then it isn't who we are. So I really felt this one in a lot of ways, and I really like the fact that it didn't come off like super corny. It felt more like a guy's struggle with selling out rather than criticizing people who sold out. And that is one hell of a way to tackle the subject matter. You could argue it's a little self-righteous in concept, but it isn't self-righteous in delivery. It just fits perfect. So I really like it. 4.75 on 5. Nice track, Scribbity-boo. Let's move on to Dreams in the Witch House. I've talked to some people in the past who are like, bro, you might hear this person and all their hard bars and shit, but I just see this person as so-and-so from the block kind of thing. And I listen to this song and I'm like, yo, Skribbal is ridiculously good. But like, Skribbal, man, we had so many chats and shit that I just don't see you like this. And it's not to say that it's like you're not hard, okay? It's not to say, it's just, I get it.
You don't know if he's cracking or
Skribbal has
not.
legit threatened to like knock me out on some voice message shit in jokes. So it's not. Whoops. We finished a thing, as you can see.
He's gonna knock you out. He's not gonna like use his Glock to like shoot you.
Yeah. So he's super hard, and I'm not even doubting that. But I just like, I know he's such a good guy. You know, like, I know he's such a cool person. So it's like, but at the same time, he's going to be like, what the fuck are you even saying? It's what it is, Skribbal. I like
But it's
you.
also how like you see yourself, right? Like it's not necessarily how other people see like, and also you. I mean, we know him more as like we know him as an adult. We don't know him as like everything else.
All that being said, this track totally fits the project, right? Because what happens after you look in this world where everybody's corrupt and all these rappers are now in these positions of power that shouldn't be there? Well, you fucking come on through and you bring in that pain in a whole different way. And I really love the creativity with it, right? Because there's so many great lines in it, like, Manson, send my fam to your mansion. That's pretty creative, you know. Like, not everybody takes a Manson bar and then makes himself sound like a boss G with it. You know, that's like a really cool way to do it. Or Samson, kill a mom with a jawbone. Like, that's a pretty good biblical bar considering who Samson is. Left alive, bleeding heavy as they crawl home. And like I said, he's willing to punch me in the face. So, you know, that's just kind of like he's willing to get up in there. But I really just feel like he does that really well. And then his rhyming's real cool. Like, my style violator, not like your mental state. Like, he just rhymes it so good. It's just really fun to listen to. And then I feel like calling him Skribby. And then it just breaks the illusion for me a little bit.
He is.
But I really appreciate it still. The chorus is really strong. I really like it a lot. I feel like it's going in that, like, super intense. I don't know. It feels like a fascination with the occult more than, like, he is the occult. Like, he's fascinated with it is what I take from the way that it's written. But I really like it still. It's like he's throwing it at me. It's super intense. Then RedCloud comes through. I'd never heard of RedCloud before. Skribbal gave me some context about how he's super legitimate and I should definitely look more into him. I heard these rhymes and I really enjoyed them. All I had to do was steal the green Power Rangers flute, then I'd smash Kimberly on top of a mountain. Like, that's a really good line because I never think about the Power Rangers, but now that I am, the Green Ranger totally would have smashed Kimberly on top of a mountain, and there was a fucking flute that that I really enjoyed, you know. And then, like, what, 2 bars later,
you need to watch the Power Rangers.
That would be, I'm okay not doing that again. No, it's like the worst fight scenes ever because they basically in the original series of the Power Rangers, they didn't like film the fight scenes. They jacked these fight scenes from this Japanese show and then sliced it in the acting and shit. So it's just the most disjointed, weird experience where I suppose a lot of people really
remember
like that.
They're like the weird talking heads and stuff.
They would, like, bop them in the center and they would disappear and shit. Anyway, so then I joined the team and be known as the Brown One. I read the Holy Bible page by page, instructions on when and how to beat your slaves. And I'm like, shit, that is actually part of it. Fair. There is a lot of stuff in the Bible that's a little odd when you get to the historical context of how certain people were done. Granted, Matthew chapter 5, verse 4 does say, yo, fuck the Old Testament, its context, and the New Testament is different, and there is no slave beating that goes on in the New Testament, but that's just technicalities. As long as they won't die with it in a couple of days. And I like the fact that we're going there. I don't want to take away from the power of the systemic corruption of the slavery and that religion does. I don't want to take away from that. I did also read the Bible page by page. So I have that context too. And I do like a good theological debate. Anyway, but I'm really into what he's following it up with. Well, they're your property anyway. It's okay. Justify the obvious, immoral like a sucker, genocide, infanticide one after another. Racism, sexism, incest, oh brother. To be fair, a lot of this shit is in the Old Testament. It really is. The Old Testament's wild. It has wild shit going on in it, all over it. The New Testament is not wild. It is a lot calmer and a lot less litty, bro. But like Cain and Abel, what a dumb motherfucker, bro. You know, like, it's cool that he does this though. I feel like he's really like mostly spot on with these biblical bars and the way he brought that through. And I was just like, this is a really cool fucking verse. Apparently he's a Christian rapper too, but still it's a cool fucking verse.
Imagine so from like what he's talking about.
But like, man, if God exists and says kill your kid, look him dead in his eye and tell him suck my dick. I'm like, fair, but we could like seriously have a theological debate if you want about how the entire book of Genesis is metaphor as is indicative of the two creation stories not lining up, therefore having two authorships in the first book when you really dig that history. So all I'm trying to say is like, I get it. I appreciate what you're saying. I think people take the translations of the translations a little too literally sometimes. But like I love the verse stills. I have like this, like I can't help it. Like I have to respond to that shit on some, like I just feel like I have to. But then like I also love this song a lot. Like this shit's like another 4.75. Like it's fucking great. Cause I'm able to like think and like it catches my attention and he's saying some real fucking shit with it. The Bible does in fact have some questionable things that should be talked about if people were to read the motherfucker, but people don't actually read the motherfucker, so they don't know what the thing says, so they can't even have the conversations. Anyhow, fucking dope. And then the outro is cool. It's not really my cup of tea, but I do enjoy it. I do like the bring the pain like method because that's what I feel like he was trying to do here, flipping the juxtaposition or the flipping the point of bring the pain and then giving the shout to Method Man like that's fucking dope. Shame on a lame cool. Follows up with the Wu-Tang shits. I like that a lot also. Overall, this track slaps. Let's keep it moving.
Yeah.
Oh wait, did I skip you? I think did I do that?
Yeah, classic. Anyways.
Not even a classic. It's been a minute.
So yeah, we have I mean I don't have so much more else to say to add to this one. Just hearing like Skribbal's voice like makes me smile, even though he's like hard and stuff. I just enjoy listening to him. I'm like, oh, Skribby. But like, you know, like this song works with the rest of the album, like in that sense, and like, you know, kind of like I imagine that like if he was maybe like a foster kid or like, you know, maybe his parents weren't necessarily like the nicest when and if they were high and whatever else was happening and, you know, what was surrounding them. So like I imagine like maybe like he wasn't always considered like the good kid or you know, maybe he wasn't seen as not bad necessarily, but like I think he kind of probably felt like an outcast sort of like just because of everything that he went through. And so like it just made me, I don't know, I feel like I'm losing my train of thought here, but like I imagine that's why people would call him bad or whatever. Like those are just my thoughts, and that's kind of why he's kind of going towards like this darkness and why he feels like the Antichrist. And maybe he did, you know, and does, I don't know, believe in God, or, you know, was kind of maybe brought up or somebody along the way. Pardon me?
So that's interesting.
Yeah, like somewhere along the way, like somebody, you know, maybe like took him to church or introduced him to religion or whatever, however it happened. It could be in school, I don't know. And I think like, you know, that's probably why like he's kind of like rejecting that. Like he's like, I'm not about that. Like, you know, while at the same time, like he has talked about, you know, being on his knees and praying to God and things like that. So I think that he definitely has like a difficult relationship with God. And I think that that's kind of what, was it RedCloud? What he's kind of like dealing with as well. Like that he also read the Bible and he took it seriously and he did his due diligence. And at the end, he's kind of like, well, fuck this. Like, plus he's kind of criticizing some of the things that it taught him. So, yeah, anyways. And I like that's kind of my thoughts on like the topic. I like the pan flute that's kind of like mixed in. I didn't, you know, how often do you hear a pan flute? And of course, if anybody knows me, I definitely loved the gunshot at the end. So I like this one. I give it a 4.4 on 5.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool, like I said before, but I cut you off and forgot that you hadn't talked yet. That's right, that happened, everyone. Man, it's just such a cool song. Like I just keep thinking about it. It's such a cool song conceptually. I really like it a lot. It's all right. We'll keep it moving.
I just said that. All
right, Bonnie, you should just go first so that never happens again for like history. So you go first.
No, not always, but anyways. So this one is this features Iyze Lowe. I'm not sure who that is, but sounded good. Skribbal, he's on here and he's like spitting like hard bars. I like this one. he's gonna like keep on moving up, unlike the other people who don't change, and like people who like are stagnant, and you know, like they're gonna regret it if they're not like, you know, moving forward, like he is. And you know, fuck what you heard, and like the person who's like talking shit, like kind of like the gossip sort of like, he's like, don't listen to that shit, like just like keep on going and like do what you need to do. And yeah, I think really I really liked Skribbal on this one. He sounded like nice and tough, and like, you know, I liked his attitude on this one. And he's also still kind of like saying like he may be like up to no good to like everybody else, but he doesn't really give a shit, and he's gonna keep on doing what he needs to do. And not like that it's he's like up to no good, but like people maybe aren't taking him seriously. But he's gonna like keep on going. So I really like this one. It has really good energy. He gives good energy. I gave this one a 4.6 on 5.
Yeah, see, this one I feel like it's less grandiose, and I do believe that Skribbal will kill me more on this one. I don't know how to like put it, but I really like it a lot. I just there's like a comedy style to the way he does this one that I find like just lands so perfectly. Like walk up in your house spitting bars like it's nothing. Like just off the jump, like, oh, you think you a good rapper? I'm gonna bust in your house and rap at you. Oh, you think you can stop me? Well, then I'll punch you in the fucking face for interrupting me, and I'm gonna keep rapping at you. And then he keeps it G. And then I like the flow he does when he gets a little tricky there. And by G, bitch, I mean glutton. Nobody's expecting you to say glutton in that moment. And then to follow it up, I'm eating up these rappers. So because he's actually destroying everybody, now he's gaining weight, pushing 300. I can't help it. I know you heard to lose weight. And then he said pushing 300. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with me. But if it does, I feel mad blessed. They talk shit when they want a verse, and then when you buzz in. And I'm like, interesting line. So I feel like the Vampire Tactics is a little more grandiose on the industry. Dreams in the Witch House is like managing your frustrations, the system, the way people treat you. And then I feel like we kind of drill down into a more anecdotal, personal level on how people are. So it's like, as it moves down, it's almost like a funnel of focus towards the frustration. And now we've gotten to the point of these rappers that are just fake with you. That just don't treat you proper. So he's gonna come through and destroy you as a rapper. You know, like that third verse is fucking ridiculous when he's like something about pushing rappers but never push bricks or whatever. It might be in the first verse. I don't know, but I really liked the bar. I thought it was really fucking strong. But then you have this random second verse from Iyze Lowe, which is just the opposite of Skribbal. And I think it's brilliant, right? Like, because Skribbal's coming through and just showing the power, the grandiosity of like his strength and his whatever, his style. Like, also that now do the dishes, you a bitch, so you should clean. I really like that part too. It's a little sexist, but I like it a lot. It's well delivered. The chorus slaps in, fuck what you heard, whatever. If you got a problem because you lazy, you regret it. Oh, that's right. It's in the chorus. Everybody talking about no one done shit. Everybody dealing, no one moving bricks. That's like a strong statement. There's a lot of people out there who kind of present images and try to be whatever. Like, I had a conversation with somebody, and they were like, bro, you know, as a rapper, you got to think about it. You made all these songs where you popping bottles. So if people see you in the club and you're not popping bottles, then you can't be in the club. So maybe you do live that life where you pop. No, but maybe you do go live that life where you pop bottles. But maybe you also can't afford that life. So if you just didn't rap about popping bottles, you could just do some broker shit and move faster, you know? Like these people create these fantasies and then live up to the expectations that they put on themselves. Like, you can just choose what to put in your music. Like, you have that power. So Skribbal's showing that he chooses other things and then follows it up with this dude that's just like, I'm a nice guy and I love the good vibes. And you're like, you're waiting for it to flip and like hit you. And it just doesn't. He just makes money on music and keeps you happy, and he doesn't want to go to work. And, you know, he's in these vibes where people can just get high and shit. And you're like, the fuck? This is the smartest feature ever for this song to really like sell it in. Where like, nah. If you think that this shit is like, no, you actually like this song on the song level. It doesn't matter what we're saying. We just actually good at this. I'm choosing to say all this shit, you know? And then you get that like third verse, rappers ripped apart, etc., because I'm smashing them, and then describes a bunch of contact shit. He's super hard, he's getting ready. It is what it is. But I like the gunshot lined off to like one of the bars in the third verse. It's really good. It's a really strong song. This is one of my favorites on the album. I think it's just so clever and he delivers it so well. I'm gonna give it a 5. This is a real smash of a tune.
Nice.
I enjoy it a lot. And good job, Iyze Lowe. Makes me feel like you mad stoned. Alright. Let's move on to the second half of the project, starting with The Man Who Fell from the Sky. I would love to hear your thoughts on this.
I mean, it's great. Like it's like a whole like heist hijacking type situation, and it's just kind of like I don't know if I could necessarily see him with like a briefcase and like the glasses and like a suit like that kind of a criminal, but like he's definitely like, you know, he gives like that like I don't know, I don't even know, a vibe of like, you know, he's up to no good. And anyways, I think it's cool. So it starts off with like airplane sounds kind of mixed in with like a rainstorm. And like the beat was okay, but not necessarily like my favorite. It's sort of like a kind of a creepy song, but at the same time, like it's a full story and he's telling you exactly like, you know, this is what's going to happen. This is his plan. This is what he does. He's going to like, you know, get like the parachute so he can jump out of the plane after he gets the money. And it's pretty smart because like, I mean, you know, the popo is going to be around if he like shows up and like tries to like catch on to like different flights and get away from everybody. He just wants to like get away from everybody by jumping out of the sky in his parachute and take, you know, all the money. And it turns out that the bomb was fake and he's just doing it to get like money. And like that's kind of what it is. Like it's a cool story. And like, you know, that he just wants to like keep on living, like kind of even after like, you know, maybe he dies, he doesn't know what's gonna happen, he just kind of disappears, poof, out the plane. But like, you know, he plans to buy like a cabin on the lake. Like how like innocent and like sweet is that? Who doesn't want a cabin on the lake? And then at the end we have like a recording of like news anchors talking about like this like plane hijack and how he was a master, must have been a master criminal based off of like everything that he did. So I don't know, I thought it was kind of cool. I gave it a 4.5 on 5. What do you think?
So this whole song I took a little different, and I'll tell you why. So I heard this shit and I said, I know exactly what this is. Once upon a time, Skribbal hit me up and asked me if I had ever heard of DB Cooper because he found the greatest podcast. It's this true crime podcast that explored DB Cooper.
I feel like I've heard of him.
And he just, I swear, he spent like a month to 6 weeks straight trying to get me to listen to this podcast. And I'm like, I'm sorry, my guy, I just do not have the fortitude of being able to do this at this time in my life. I'm super sorry. And he's like, fair enough. I just try to get everybody to listen to this guy. I want everybody to know the story. I just think it's so fucking interesting. And then if you pay attention to verse 2, military-made alias Dan Cooper, and then you Google Dan Cooper, you're like, oh shit.
And he went from Portland to Seattle.
And so basically, Skribbal told the story of D fucking B Cooper, and I know why he did this because I'm sure everyone acted like me and didn't give a shit to the extent that Skribbal wanted people to give a shit. And so he wrote this bless ass storytelling song. But if you think about Keep It Moving, the previous track on top of that, one of the things he says is, yo, people can't do it like we do. You know, like we're actually really good at this in a way where people have to do some fake shit. So to follow that up, he just writes a song about something he's so passionate about that's so niche that frankly nobody else wrote this song. Like nobody else wrote a hip hop song about Dan Cooper in their life. But only Skribbal could, because only Skribbal gave a fuck that much type thing. And
it's cool though.
That isn't
it's sort of like him taking on like the persona of like DB Cooper.
It's kind of like what Aesop Rock did on that next album, Malibu Ken, when he was super fascinated with that dude who did a bunch of bath salts and killed people or whatever. And it's like when you get fascinated with something so much and it's like nobody else cares, what can you do? Well, Skribbal can write a song that will educate the people about. Now it's like I'm like, fuck, I feel like I should go listen to this stupid ass podcast just because I heard this song. And Yes, it
You already
is.
know the whole story.
But the thing is nobody knows what happened to him after. That's why it ends like that. Jumped into the storm like a ghost in the wind, and I'm gone. So it's basically this big mystery: is who is this guy? Nobody knows. They just know the fake name, TB Cooper. Dan Cooper. It's not the real name. So nobody knows who this guy is. And that's why it's a bit. Anyway, I know how I know this. I got a lot of voice messages from Skribbal telling me all about what I'm describing to you right now. I swear. He was really passionate about it. But I think this is one of the better songs on the album, too. But as far as placement goes, as far as moving the story along, it's like really effectively done. So I'm gonna give it a 4.75. It's really strong. It's an interesting tale. The storytelling is really good. And it's like the first like storytelling song, like there's no jokes here or anything. It's just I know
Yeah.
enough about this dude to rap this man's story at you. And I like that a lot. And it's also such a cool transition. Like, keep it moving, right? Like, that's like almost like the end of this like violent rapidy rap shit. I had to throw it on the album, showed him I'm still hard. Let me show you what I really care about now. Like, what a flex. Like, that's some flexes where I don't think most people would catch the nuances on. But this was my privileged information on Skribbal that let me like see what he did with this one fucking song. And I'm so grateful that I caught that. Otherwise, he may have been annoyed with me. Um, Anyhow, it's cool, and I'm feeling better than ever.
It's good. I like the sound of this one. And like he's just kind of like talking about his kid and like how he's gonna keep on thriving, how he's just gonna kind of do his thing. I definitely noticed and liked how Skribbal was kind of like singing on like the chorus. I thought that was cool because it's not necessarily something that you hear all that often. Um, and just sort of like, even though things have changed, he's still going to kick ass. And that's just who he is and what he's going to do. So I like this one. It was simple. It wasn't like too like complicated. It had like a really nice flow. It was more positive and uplifting. And yeah, I give it a 4.5 on 5. I like this one.
I like it too. I feel like I noticed like when I was first listening to the project that like the second half of the album had like a different tone on it, right? Like it flips a little bit. It's less aggressive almost, and we start to see that a bit here. Not to say that the whole album's aggressive, but like we just had that aggressive patch, and then you get the Man Who Fell from the Sky, which almost serves as like this little interlude, almost like Skribbal stopped to listen to a podcast episode, and he felt better after.
I'm just going to say, I'm pretty sure that guy died when he jumped out of the plane.
Yeah, it's not what they say, because
My opinion.
it was a podcast. Anyway, so then We Are Not Alone. Better Than Ever kicks in, and we're back on the story of Skribbal after the podcast. His head's cleared. He's a little older now. I feel like we're more like in the present day instead of looking at the past, and it's like this self-awareness of where he's at in the world and this understanding what's happened got him to where he is today. But also, like, I guess I've always been a victim of my own pain. His pain being a subject to this whole project that we've been exploring, The cycle endless, I've been soaking in my own shame, which I feel like the first whole part of this project is what he was doing. And then it's almost like he's even just acknowledging it here so that we can, like, move on through it and just kind of, like, be okay with it, And I really like it a lot. I don't have more to comment. Like you said, it's, like, super simple. His delivery is aight. The chorus is really nice. I feel like he's just kind of coming to terms with who he is, where he fits into the picture. I like the chorus. He's featured on my homeboy Chemo's song. On Chemo's song, he criticized rappers who singing on this and singing on that, and then Skribbal's singing on this, and I like to sing on that. Anyway, I'm just saying, I'm having a little fun there for you, Chemo, if you actually watch this. Anyway, I really do appreciate this track a lot. And then Emycst, I don't know how to say that. He comes through. I enjoy his verse. I feel like it's his own version of it. I feel like they both just want to like take their musics and the pain and the different experiences that they've had and take that energy and move it like forward. I seriously wish the line "sicker than vaccines in 2021" was not on this project because it just dates the fucking album. Like it's like that one lyric popped out at me and I'm like, no, there were no lyrics like that. And then this lyric came on. And it's not like it's a bad line, but man, come on, I guarantee you, if I Google lyrics that, like, we'll find that exact, you know, like, and I'm not trying to be a shithead. I just wish that one lyric wasn't here on this
Okay.
whole album, because we had a previously album is not dated moment, and now you know exactly when this came. Like, you, even if it was in 2020, you knew it's around COVID because of that lyric. It's never going to be relevant in the future. And on top of
Yeah.
that, it's like literally says in 2021. I know I'm being nitpicky. I think it's one of those things people should think about. That's why I stopped it. Otherwise, yo, it's a really brilliant verse. It's super uplifting. I like the honesty, the exposure, and how, like, you know, it takes the pain and uses it to move everything forward. Chorus kicks back in. It's nice. I'm going to give it a 4.35 on 5. Compared to all the other songs, I like it less, but it's still like a really, really great song. Everybody delivers what they're supposed to do. But, like, yo, come on. I just followed The Man Who Fell from the Sky. Like, anything following that was going to be in for a hard time, because that's how it works when you listen to an album. The song before it, the song after it, they all play into your feelings towards it. Truth is, though, Bunny, how do you feel about We Are Not Alone?
Well, I think that this one is, obviously, like, we have like the fighting at the beginning and like the woman, yelling like you have no family, and there's obviously like a guy there, and like he's, there's some shit going on, and this is for the people who are having a hard time like with their family, and like for like the kids that get beat up, and like how they probably feel alone, but like to like kind of remind kids like that, and anybody who suffered, adults or whatever, is, that you're not alone. Like, this shit unfortunately does happen. And, that he saw his mother like with, kind of covered in blood. So I can imagine that would be pretty horrific to see that. And talking about like how, his mother was obviously in like an abusive relationship. So, I mean, it's like a really good, honest, like message, like for people, especially like, people who are in like a similar type of a situation that he was, and that are kind of dealing with a lot of shit. And just like a reminder that, yes, that this does happen, but like, you're not alone. Like, everybody's angry, like, and he can kind of be like angry with you, like, and that there's like kind of like that unfortunate togetherness that brings them together. So yeah, another good one. I gave this one another 4.515.
Nah, for real, this is dope, because if you go back to that saying about keep it moving, like, that was the end. It was like, we got enough of this. Let's keep it moving. Let's show you that we can actually do all this other shit. And then it's really like backing it up. I was like, I knew I'd heard the name Aether for Haze before, and then I realized it was on Skribbal's other project. So that's how I knew the name. So I don't really know them from anything other than Skribbal. But that chorus is really strong. Like, it just shows like, yo, no, this is where we're at now. We're on this like unity. We went through shit. Let's bond together. Let's grow up. It's got this chanty anthemic feel to it. This is like clearly like, I would argue this is your radio single on this album. This is that like safe video. This is the one to like get the kids on board and shit. So I really like it a lot. I like it.
Yeah.
It has this.
Well, I think it is like very cinematic, and like just like what he's talking about, and like you can kind of see the story that's happening.
But basically, yeah, I just feel like it's got this strong power to it. The chorus is the verse that Skribbal delivers is it kind of reiterates some of the earlier themes, remembering back on it, just kind of letting you know again that this is where he's at. He had to go through this. He had to endure these things. But at this point in the album, you kind of feel differently on the topic. You've gone through some of the pain with him. You've seen some of the growth in him. You've seen like just kind of more of who he is. So when you get to this, you're like, okay, like, yeah, it's hard, but like, it's like we're better now. We can handle it stronger because of that chorus. It just shows that like, yes, these things exist, but like you can manage it. And then bringing in Aether to sing out that next verse and bring that whole other energy, that more almost gentler tone to everything, while still keeping the same kind of content, the same kind of pain, the same kind of everything. It's almost like it's not just rappers, it's everyone. And it's like, to exemplify that point, it's like, let me bring on this singer. Let me show you how universal this is. Let me show you how everyone gets to that point. This is a really cool song. I really enjoy listening to it. I think the beat's like super big. It's super nice. Shout out Pragmatic Beats for making that happen. He doesn't get like a cool cut off the verse shout out on this one, but it's still an excellent track. I'm gonna give it a 4.5 on 5. It is absolutely more on the poppier end than I would like to listen to, but its purpose and its placement on this album is like really excellent, and partly because of that, it gets the 4.5. Anyway, let's move on to a song that on April 30th is absolutely perfectly timed according to Bonnie, Halloween Apples. How do you feel about this song?
Well, it's clearly like a Halloweeny, creepy kind of a song, which like I don't know, like made me feel like, like you said at the beginning, like that, I feel like maybe it's not necessarily appropriate for like April. It definitely feels more like a fall, like October vibe, but I mean, whatever. It's released now. You can just put it on in October. But whatever. So it's perfect for that. So he's gonna shoot apples for you, and then like I was like, I'm pretty sure that this is like a code for bullets or something, but I've never heard
Bonnie,
that, but I like it.
as
But I mean,
Ismail said,
also,
every day is Halloween.
yeah. And I mean, honestly, it hurts when an apple hits you in the head. So I would imagine that, it's that same sort of idea. Um, and then at the end we get like that plow from like Skribbal and and then gunshots, and then it's like, oh, okay, it's clearly what these apples are. And like his like the spitting on this is like super hard, super quick. It's like really like tight. It's like I really like how this like comes out. And it definitely gives you, like I said, that Halloweeny, creepy, dark, like kind of like the cover, like if they're like wandering through like the forest or whatever, like that, like where the kids are playing. And it sort of goes back to like kids do like the bobbing for apples at Halloween, so it's like a different sort of like thing that you think of, but like what he's talking about is something very different. And like I said, I think that this is really cool. It's nice. It'll be nice for like Halloween. So I give this a 4.5. It's good. It's creepy. I like it.
I have no idea how this fits into the story that I was crafting. It's like we get to this part and I'm like, what? Like I don't know where it goes. Like it's just like we are not alone to this. I mean, the best I can give you is he's not alone on this, and they're like banding together through this shit. And because every
Yeah,
day is
like
kind of
I said,
hard,
like they're
like
kind of like the creepy little kids.
I get it. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing the point on this one, but I just feel like sometimes when you have like this cool narrative going in your mind, and then you get to this track where you're like, wait, this just breaks my whole theory apart. Damn. But it's a good song. It's really fun. It's I like the first verse. I'm not sure who Damian Krypt is, but I enjoyed the verse. I like the way he spits. I like how he goes from like, yo, gothic chicks is Halloween. Let's get it. I got this fetish for it. And I'm like, yo, I really like that whole first part. I like how he just kind of takes Halloween and this like kind of every part of it he's just into, and then it kind of drops the more horror laced things. He's hard because I'm unstoppable. Something like a tsunami. Go ahead, bro. Run to your mommy and tell her I'm back. They only hate me because I'm goth, bitch. Suck on a sack. And I like that because it ties into the beginning. I don't know. It's really enjoyable. But like I'm like, I don't know. There's not much to think about here. It's just enjoyable. I don't know if that makes sense. The chorus is too. Like it's fun. It just kind of comes through.
Yeah.
Skribbal has like now he's not alone, so I guess that kind of comes in. So now he's got the hard bars with a lot of squad elements to it. He's kind of reinvented himself. It sounds like he's having a bit of a wild night, having a good time with it. And then self-titled has this amazing verse. It really is. But honestly, he had like my favorite line that popped out at me from the first listen, and every time it just makes me giggle. The day will come that your album drops, true, but it'll be the day Dr. Dre drops Detox too. And I'm like, that is the funniest shit ever, because Detox ain't ever coming. That's why it's fun. Anyway, I really enjoyed that a lot. I think his verse just sounded so crisp, and this whole song sounds so good. But it a little bit feels like Skribbal had this song, and it sounded so good, and he put it here because he didn't know where else to put it. Is my only feelings on it. I might be wrong, but that was my feelings on the sequencing in it. But the song's also too good to not have. So like, I totally get the conundrum that you're in this moment.
Yep.
I'm gonna 4.5 on 5. It's a really cool track. Let's move on to Beyond the Black Rainbow.
I think it's good. So he starts off and he's kind of like waking up. He's high on acid still a little bit, and just kind of like talking about that. He's still struggling, but he knows like his goal. He knows his purpose, and he's gonna keep fighting. And it's just sort of like another one of those songs that kind of reminds you like that, like no matter how like shitty things are, and like no matter how bad things seem, and like they're like almost never ending, um that things do get better, like yeah, that like all of them, like especially like the kids that were like beat, and like like the black eyed children, essentially they come together, and they do kind of guide each other to the light. I'm guessing. I think that that's kind of what it is. Especially like this is more towards like the end of the album, so like I think that's what it is. Like the people are still like hiding their pain, but he's kind of talking about like beyond the black rainbow is delight, and that's how it ends. And like that's kind of like the hardest hitting line I found. So it's just kind of like that's the message of this song, and I like that because even though like I think that he's kind of still feels blue sometimes, here and there, he knows that happiness is going to happen, and that's just the inevitable. So I like this one. It was very good. I like the outcome of the story in this one, or like kind of like what's being taught in this one. So I like this one. Another 4.5 on 5 for me.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I feel like the song's more instructional a bit, so it's almost like recapping the album in a sense. Like in the beginning, we get that sense he's waking up again, thinking back on it, looking on his life, but almost from like a different analytical point of view, almost like he's diagnosing shit at this point. You get that with stuff like degraded, enslaved, tamed to hate, racing deep in the heart of man. We all chase it. We try to bury the burden we carry always. The brain is leaking. They bleeding me from the crossways, And then he has that God bar where he's like, he tries to pray, tries to stay focused, but he gets lost.
Yeah.
Just on his rapping, this is very rhyme centric. He's doing a lot of little tricky things with the flow to keep it alive. The beat's super simple. It's really about like you're supposed to focus on him, I think, and just listen to the way he raps it out and hear what he's got to say. And you get that chorus, which is uplifting, which is very similar to the verse. He's not trying to go super versatile with this one. It's just a constant flow. I mean, it is a little different, but it's not like super different. And it's just kind of saying like beyond the black rainbow, the soul can get bright. It's like you can get past the darkness to like brighter points in the future. But then you get to the second verse where he sets off on his journey, and he realizes that all these situations around him, everyone's kind of like going from hurt victim to aggressor and repeating these cycles and creating this system of hatred all around them. And then it's like you get to that end of the verse where it's like when you shatter to the bone from the past that and you can't understand why your family left the fold alone for so long until the bitterness grows and explodes. You take it out on anybody close. So he's identifying how you get to this part where you treat the people around you so poorly and all of this stuff. And then it's like in that third verse, it's like, nah, that was me I'm talking about. I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about me again. But let me tell you what happened next, where I changed that. And then I realized all these different things that I can take the struggle and the pain and move in a different direction than I previously was at with it. And I thought that was really cool. It's like another way to repurpose that core content, but use it differently to move the story along. Which is, again, why I'm like, I don't know how Halloween Apples fits in and shit. But still, I enjoy it. I like Beyond the Black Rainbow. It's not like one of my go-to sonically, but I really like it, so I'm gonna give it a 4.35, but it's still a good song.
Okay.
Next up is Wreck the System. All right, Bonnie, how do you feel about this one?
This one is like, I don't know, it's cool. It has like a nice kind of like jazzy beat mixed with like harder sounds, and we have like the R.O.C and Mr. Dibbs. And like he's talking about like LA and Detroit, so I like that. There's sort of like these like collabs that are happening like all over this album, and I think that that's really cool, especially from like different like cities and stuff. So this was another one that I found was like really like easy to listen to, like just kind of like floated through, and like I kind of got lost in it like a couple times. I was like, wait, it's over, and I had to listen to it again, and I'm like, did I even hear it? Like it just like was so easy to listen to.
Mm.
But I just kind of like got lost in the sound. So I like this one. It's nice and smooth. It's jazzy, and it's good. And Skribbal is like great on it, obviously. And 4.4 on 5 for me.
I mean, it features the R.O.C, who's very lovely, and it has Mr. Dibbs on it, who does excellent work. Yo, the end of this track is stellar.
Yeah.
It's like a stellar beat explosion into this whole different vibe, and this plays out for like a good minute, and it's just super enjoyable. The verses is kind of like a back and forth between Skribbal and the R.O.C, which is a really cool feature. That one's a cool
Mm-hmm.
feature. I admit it. And I like how the verses are just kind of like, grandiose MCs flexing what they're gonna be,
Yeah.
but they're like really good. Like it's really just a strong song. Like hyper with the steel on the right, hook my mic up, feed on MCs like disease. That's my lifeblood. My stamina unsurpassed. Blast you and your manager. It's just got like this whole like energy to it, this swag, this vibe that I get into. It's not like I don't know. I feel like for bars like this, they just are what they are, and they're just really well done. I feel like they're not boring. There's like a degree of continuity of energy that's proper. The
Yeah.
flows are nice to deliver to. Mostly it's the delivery that's really good. Like they deliver it really proper. It's perfectly done. I like it a lot. I'm gonna give this track a 5 on 5. It is really easy to listen to this
Wow.
shit. It is a great beat. But like you also like I don't know. I don't feel like thinking on this one, which is cool because you think on a lot of the other ones. So it's good to have a track like that on your project. It doesn't
Yeah.
sound like any of the other ones. It's really well made. Um,
Yeah.
I have more to say on it. So pass the green. All right, Bonnie. How do you feel about this one?
Well, I mean, it is what it is, right? So we have like a bong sound bubbling sort of like at the beginning. And like this is just like the weed track. This is just like his friends. We've got Chucky Chuck, Brainded, and Dopehead Dan on this one with Skribbal. And like, so it's just like a posse cut. They're all high. They're all having fun. They don't like the popo because, I mean, really, who does? And it's just like a light, fun way to end like an album that was kind of like, touched on like some difficult and hard, and dark thoughts and feelings and like issues. So I think that this is kind of like his like escape now. Like this is not like it's just kind of like for fun. It's easy and it's a decent weed track. So I give it a 4.35 on 5.
It's like for me, I'm left with this is how we end. This is the last song on the album. I mean, I guess you go through the whole situation, you have all your experiences and shit, and I guess that's how you end the day. You get high.
Yep.
I guess that's like the realest shit. I suppose that's realer than a lot of other grandiose fucking endings. This is like how he ends the shit. Um, like it's not. I don't really like weed songs that much. Like they're just. Like, I mean, it's one of those subjects where I like 1 in 100 does something new with the subject. I'm this is just like a weed song for him and his dude smoking. Like yo, I piss
Yeah.
THC. Don't even doubt me. I'm like my God. I bet you I can outsmoke you. That's I don't know. Like I mean, it's cool. Look, I don't want to shit on the song. Content wise, it is literally what it is. It is a weed song. The chorus is really nice. I like it a lot. It's fine. I tell the police they can suck on these. A little edge to throw in there. Skribbal's verse is cool, but then he's like, "I'm gonna roll up my weed in $100 bill," and I'm like, that sounds like the worst fucking joint in history. You see, that's the problem. Is I think too much with these weed songs, and you're not supposed to think. You're supposed to be high, but like I don't get high like that no more. So like, it is what it is. I just, I don't know, man. It's a good song, and I love what I really love. Where I really think Skribbal does something cool with this weed song, is the tapes part where you could see him reminiscing to like when he first got into weed, listening to music and shit. That part was super fucking cool. Dopehead Dan's alright. He lists some strains to start us off. I know what a train wreck is. I know what OG is. And motherfuckers know the system can't control me. Do I know that? I don't. I know. See, this is why I have trouble with these songs. Like I'm like I don't know that about you, Dopehead Dan. It's the first time I heard you. Anyway, it causes brain damage. You know the bomb weed. I guess. Like,
Yeah.
does it? If you're a teenager, it does. Anyway, see, this is why you can't like when you write pothead songs like this. Like, I don't know. I know weed science, so it's like I think about the bars. It does cause brain damage, I suppose, but like, I mean, if you're doing it, even if you have really good weed as an adult, like, I mean, I suppose you could use that as a thing, but it's a weird flex to me. I don't know. Without seeds, sticky green make my eyes bleed. Anyway, I'm gonna stop. I like the DITC shutout. I like that part at the end was really 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 good. But yeah, like this sounds a 4 on 5. It really doesn't do a lot to stand out to me except for that little part where Skribbal raps about being high and like reminiscing and shit. Otherwise, it's just I don't know. It's just another weed song and the like, honestly, if like no rapper ever made a weed song again, like I would be really okay with that. Like,
But there's always gonna be like
and I get
one.
it. A lot of people are like, but bro, I want to write my weed song, and I'm like, do your thing.
Yeah.
But then the challenge is, how do you add to the collective of weed songs?
That's like saying like, how do you write another love song? How do you write another like sad song? I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
Like
People do it all the time, and it's not like
that's what
quite
I'm
the
saying.
same with
Like this
weed
is like,
songs. But maybe it's just like I don't know. Like I hear the weed song, and like I'm like us, but like I hear like I don't know. I feel like the difference is people write these love songs from this like emotional place of like expressiveness. So they often
mhm.
come at it. A lot of the bars in this track, I feel like are okay. They're just like puns on the subject or and when the way
Yeah,
that they
I'm
get
not saying like
written.
this is like brand new stuff here, but like, it's enjoyable, it's fun. He's hanging out with his buddies, getting high, and he put it into a song version of it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I mean, I get everything, but like I can't help it. These songs all make me think, and when you think about weed songs, it goes in weird directions. So it's not really anything other than me. It's nothing against the song. The song I'm sure is super lovely. I mean, it is a good song. It's easy to listen to, but I was just left like, man, this is the strangest place to end the album. But I'm just being real, okay? That's what I'm doing here. All
Yeah.
right, y'all don't have to agree with me. Y'all can just be like okay with it. I still stand by my like. If we add to the lexicon of weed tracks, we should. I don't know, man. Like write stories about how weed hit your life personally, rather than grandiose shit that sounds like I don't
Like
know.
just having fun. But I think it's also like, it's just to like end it on a like a lighter, easier
You know
note.
what it
I think.
is? It's the going hard over weed. Like when you're trying to outflex it, like I outweed you. I'm like, that's where it's like that's kind of weird. Scribbles versus I actually, because it's not that. The other two verses are a lot of we like, but Scribbles verse does have like this like sense of like, well, even the first half's a little grandiosity, get high, go to the moon, whatever. But like, I don't know. Maybe it's just one of those topics I'm super nuanced on, so it takes a lot to impress me with it.
Probably.
Anyhow, it is what it is. That's my thoughts on the end of the weed song. So we can wrap up and talk about the album as a whole because I love the album as a whole. And if you just came in and this is not my feelings on the rest of the album, it's just this one song. But what do you think about the album as a whole?
I thought it was, pretty good. I gave it a 4.49 on 5, so that's like it's like a smidge under 90%, but I'm just gonna say 90%. And that's pretty damn good if anybody knows me and my grade giving. I do agree with you in the fact that like maybe like there were some like tracks that felt a little disjointed, like as like for like the whole theme of like the album. But like, and same sort of thing, like, how it ended. And, I know you didn't like the ending song, but like, and maybe it doesn't necessarily like fit like the narrative of like the whole overarching song theme. But I mean, it's fine. I mean, for the most part, it does its job. He's able to talk about a lot of like issues that were like bothering him and like, probably He wants to relate to others and kind of create like his own family and like have his own group of people that he trusts and relies on and things like that. So I mean, I thought it was pretty great, and it's very scribbly, and it talks about what he knows in his life, and I love his voice, and it was good times.
Yeah,
Very proud of him.
I really like that project a lot. I'd give it like a proper like 4.5 on 5 for like body of work. Like
Yeah,
it's really mostly well sequenced. Like y'all heard it. There's a couple songs I was like I don't understand its purpose, but like the first 10 tracks tell this like super cohesive fucking story that I think is really like powerful. And then it like it's almost as if like the album ends on track 10 and then it's a bunch of bonus tracks is my feelings on like the way that the album plays out. But that's just my thoughts there. Overall, you get like 14 unique experiences, a lot of versatilities, a lot of different stuff. Yeah, there are 4 extra tracks in the bonus track Skribbal. They're not out. I was like, we'll just wait till those are more accessible for people to also go listen to, or it'll be like fucking reviewing shit nobody else can hear, and it's weird. Um, which is cool though that we have that privilege. But still, I really like the album a lot. I really think it accomplishes its goal of like making Skribbal like come off really strong and just feel like a really human and actually tell like a cohesive story about who he is. And like if this is like his first big album, so to speak, it does a really great job of introducing himself to the world out there. And so when the next 4 tracks are more available to the world, we'll do the next part with the deluxe tracks so you can have a little bonus thing to look forward to. But I really like this album, and I would recommend it to people who are in that real hip hop don't exist crowd. Because I mean, it clearly does. He's clearly did a lot of throwback stuff on this project to like go back to the roots of what he loves, but still make it like content wise something that's super applicable to almost the world of today. And I think that's a really cool feat.
yeah.
So yeah, that's all I gotta say about this album. Thank y'all for being here, watching this thing on the YouTube and Twitch and wherever else. Thank you for being a part of it as always. Thank you Skribbal for sending it early and adding all the lyrics up. That's a thank you for you. I just appreciate it all. It's the same kind of thing. If you're watching in the future, appreciate you as well. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, all that good shit. Follow. Special thanks to the patrons: Ismail Gadamsi, Chris Prada, Jonathan Barnes, DJ Black, Hurricane, Linda Williams, and Skribbal. They're dope. They support what we do. And if you want to support what we do too, you can check that out at patreon.com/behindthatsuit. On that note, it was super fun doing this again with y'all. Take care, everyone.
Yeah.
Live long and prosper, everybody.
Bye, guys.